Absolute Value Lesson Plan by Melissa Mosley. This absolute value lesson plan um, is set up to be addressing a problem that I have with my virtual classroom. The students are not engaged in their independent work. They have no self motivation. I think that they are not engaged because they're not having fun with their learning. So this is a sixth grade classroom. I teach math, and the children are aged 11 and 12 years old. Student objective for this lesson plan. The students will interpret the absolute value of numbers for positive and negative quantities. The Arkansas academic standards that are addressed with this lesson is 6 NCC 4. Interpret the absolute value of numbers for positive or negative quantities in a real world context. I will also be addressing with this lesson the ISTE standards 1.1c, feedback to improve practice. The students will use technology to seek feedback that informs and improves their practice to demonstrate their learning. 1.2b, online behavior. Students will engage in positive, safe, legal, and ethical behavior when using technology. 1.3d, explore real world issues. Students will build knowledge by actively exploring real world issues and problems. I chose several technology tools to make this a technology rich um, assignment and lesson. The first tool that I chose is Khan Academy. Khan Academy has free online courses, lessons, and practice. They have videos and they have whole courses that you can work your way through. So I utilize them a lot in my math classroom. The second technology tool that I chose to use is called Boom Cards. Boom Cards are essentially decks online that are very interactive. They are self paced and they are self checking. So the students are able to practice. As they go through it, the boom cards will let them know whether they were correct or incorrect, and occasionally it will actually give them hints also. So it's just a fun, easy way to practice. The third technology tool that I'm really excited about is called Assistments. I use the illustrative mathematics curriculum. Assistments is actually a partner with IM. Assistments is a platform that takes the curriculum and puts it on an online forum for the students to work through those problems. It is automatically graded and it does integrate with Google Classroom. So it's a free tool for teachers and students to use. You just have to have an email address. It also is integrated with several other curriculums. And one of the things that I'm going to use in this lesson today is called the Skill Builder. Okay. The lesson introduction the teacher will introduce and review the information for integers. Make sure that the students understand what positive numbers are, what negative numbers are, where they sit on the number line. And that's just a good background knowledge review. Then the teacher will go into talking about the absolute value definition and having it relate to the number line. The first activity will be a Khan article. Khan articles are interactive. It does not read it to you, although there are extensions that you can get, like Read and Write. The state of Arkansas provides Read and Write through the public schools for free to all public school employees and students. So they do have that available to them. So they can have this read them to them. The article will be read to them, and based on whether if they need that based on their IEP or a 504. So the students will read and interact with the article to understand absolute value. It is very interactive. It asks questions. It has you answer questions throughout the middle, and it has hints in there. So this will be done whole group with students leading the information. The next thing will be a Khan video that will kind of sum up and give examples of what they just went over in that article and how they make sure they understood that information. So Khan has some very informative videos that are really great. So the whole class will listen to this video to have a review. So an in-class review will be using the Boom decks from boomcards.com. So there's two decks that I chose. The one on the right of the screen is called Rational Numbers and What is the Absolute Value? So it's really simple. It's asking what is the absolute value of the number -20 that's inside those absolute value brackets. So it's just a really easy, quick thing to make sure the kids are understanding how we find the number for the absolute value. The other one is talking more along the lines of integers and the absolute value, and it asks more in-depth questions throughout the Boom deck. And the students will have a chance to interact with the Boom decks individually, or they could do it in groups using their iPads, or if we were in Zoom, then I may put them in breakout rooms and let one student pull it up and share the screen, and then the group work together. So there's different ways that you can use these. They can definitely be used independently, but they can also be used in groups, even as virtual learners. Excuse me. So additional practice is going to be assigned through the Assessments Skill Builder. So the Skill Builder is a special part of Assessments for doesn't matter which curriculum you use. It is set up under each of the frameworks. So I chose the framework for the absolute value. It gives a problem set of about 30 questions that they could be asked. As the students go into the skill builder, they start answering questions. There is a hint available for them if they get stuck. It does not give them the answer, but it leads them towards the correct answer, gives them hints. As they're working through there, it's going to keep track on my dashboard, on the teacher dashboard, of whether they used hints and whether they got the answer correct the first time. Did they try it 2 times? It gives that information. So there's lots of data to be had with this assessment or practice. They will continue in the skill builder until they get 3 or possibly 4 in a row correct without using any hints. So it is really, content mastery program. So you can assigned a skill builder every day, and they'll get different questions every day because they have such a bank of questions that they can pull from. So that's something that we could do 2 or 3 times if we needed to come back and review or revisit absolute value with the students. So at the end of the lesson, maybe possibly at the end of the week, depending on how I feel the students understood, I might give this to them right after the lesson and then again later in the week to make sure that they're retaining their information. But I chose to use a Google Form quiz. The Google Form is self-grading. It does integrate into Google Classroom. The grades are imported automatically by the click of a button. I do make most of my assessments 100 points. And that usually has at least 10 or more questions on their assessments. We normally do these weekly. They can be true and false questions. They can be fill in the blank. They can be multiple choice. So I give them just a multiple different questions. I don't just leave it as all multiple choice. If it is fill in the blank, then that is a part that is not automatically graded. That is a teacher graded section of that I would have to go in and grade it, which I don't mind doing that to assess the students and then upload those grades straight to Google Classroom. So based on the assessment with this Google form, I would compare my data and see if I had a high percentage of students that understood the assignment and understood the content and would have proficiency in that Arkansas State standard that I was addressing. So based on this whole lesson, I'm hoping that this will engage the students a lot more than just a lecture or a practice lesson. Hopefully that this will get them to be self-motivated, and I will have more classroom